What up, everybody? What up, everybody? What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the greatest afternoon show in the world. That is AC Reviews the World. I am your host, AC the Engineer, and we are at episode 217. Yes, it is 217. Now, hopefully, everybody had a good day today. It is Tuesday, June 30th, 2026, year of our Lord, and it's time to get into it, y'all. Just like any other day, we got a lot of things to talk about because the world's a crazy place, and we got to review the world together. Now, this is a channel where we just go over 4 or 5 topics of just things that I found that we need to review together. I'm never going to say I'm always right. I'm never going to say I understand everything, but I'm willing to talk about it. That's what's wrong with the world today, y'all. And if you enjoy this type of content, remember, y'all, the best way to show your support is always just hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. And then we drop every single day, or at least I try to. But you know how I like to do it. Let's jump right into it because, I don't like to waste time. Let's jump into it and see what we got to talk about today. So the first topic we got to get over into today is we have to go back over to Venezuela. As we know, an earthquake hit about a week ago, and the death toll has risen to over 1,700. Now, a lot of things are still happening. They're still trying to rescue people who are trapped under the rubble. So let's get over into it. We've got a few videos to look at, and then, of course, the AI breakdown just to wrap it all up. But remember, y'all, if you disagree with anything I say, let's talk about it. Let's jump into it, y'all. See what we can find out.
A humanitarian crisis is unfolding right now in Venezuela in the wake of the double earthquakes almost 1 week ago. And some of the new video that we're getting into our newsroom doesn't even begin to show the full extent of it, but you can see some of the devastation, all that damage left behind. So far, 1,700 people have died. At least 3 Americans are among those who were killed. We're also learning about the people who had just been deported from the United States when the ground started to shake. According to the Associated Press, 146 Venezuelans, including 19 women and 7 children, arrived on a deportation flight from Miami just hours before Wednesday's earthquakes. They were being held at a hotel in La Guaira. Now, we know there were survivors, but it's unclear if everybody is accounted for, and their relatives are now demanding answers. Now, according to the New York Times, doctors have said that in La Guaira, officials have been processing about 750 bodies every day. The United Nations has also secured 10,000 body bags because searchers have not been able to fully go through many of those collapsed buildings. Meanwhile, hundreds of aftershocks have complicated those efforts. And you've got to look at this, just a stunning moment amid all that chaos and heartbreak. So yesterday, rescuers pulled this 21-year-old man out alive. This is Aaron Levi Cantillo. He was in that rubble of a collapsed building in La Guaira. He'd been trapped for 106 hours. Interim President Delcy Rodriguez shared the video of the rescue on social media, saying the rescue operation took nearly 2 days. And Venezuela is getting some international help, much of it from their neighbors in the Caribbean. Cuba sent a special group to help with search and rescue efforts. And meanwhile, the United States says it will be contributing $300 million to those recovery efforts.
Well, right here.
This is a tragic situation, no matter how you look at it. But they said that the potential death toll is over 10,000. It's crazy to think about. And the fact that we just sent some people or deported some people back over there, I don't think it's not going to be any backlash to the United States because no one can predict this incident. It came out of nowhere. But no matter what, people lost their lives, and this is when the world has to come together. Let's keep going into this, y'all.
In South Florida, donations just keep pouring in. I saw this firsthand yesterday. It's truly incredible. Cars lined up once again at the Global Empowerment Mission headquarters in Doral. So things like batteries, flashlights, tents, they're also important right now, and survivors there are looking for shelter. The Miami Dolphins were even out there lending a helping hand. Now, supplies are appreciated, but cash donations are also really vital right now.
Giving cash to those organizations that were already doing the work, that are already there, you're eliminating having to go through the logistical challenges of sending a container.
Now, GEM has been loading up planes and sending those South Florida donations to Venezuela almost daily at this point. This is video showing volunteers handing out supplies on the ground in Caracas. And in Broward County, volunteers at Food for the Poor, that's in Coconut Creek, also boxing up aid kits. Now, the kits include food and hygiene products, all really critical. Those containers are already on the way to Venezuela. Food for the Poor says it is in need of canned food, hygiene products, and money. They also need volunteers to help pack up the boxes. In CBS Miami.
Absolutely crazy situation that's happening. But let's get over into this next video, where it seems like that some of the residents are feeling like that the government there isn't doing enough to help. So let's get over into that.
Tonight, a desperate search and rescue effort 3 days after earthquakes devastated Venezuela. And frustrations boiling over, angry protesters saying the government is not doing enough to get to their missing loved ones. This woman claiming bodies have been found in the rubble, but authorities have not helped recover them. This teenaged boy searching for his mother and little brother near the quake's epicenter with nothing but a pickaxe and a shovel. Similar scenes playing out across the disaster zone, as the government now estimates more than 1,400 people are dead, at least 3,000 more injured. Before and after satellite images showing one seaside city decimated. Heartbreaking pictures of just how widespread the damage is coming into sharper view. The city at the center of this disaster now closed off by the military, too unstable for people to go in. Hundreds of aftershocks hitting the country since Wednesday. As new video shows the moments right before the quake struck. This man's phone pinging. 30 seconds later, he runs for cover. Google's earthquake alert system, which it says can detect shaking ground, sending warnings that reached more than 11 million Android users on Wednesday, potentially saving lives. And amid the chaos, signs of hope. A 15-year-old girl pulled from the rubble alive overnight, flashing a heart sign as she was carried away. And cheers after a Spanish team rescued an elderly woman today. More than 2,000 first responders from around the globe now on the ground in Venezuela, including expert rescuers from across the United States. Just outside Atlanta, the Venezuelan community feverishly gathering food, clothes, and other supplies to send to loved ones and strangers now in dire need.
We need to do something, otherwise nobody's going to do that.
That's the main thing. We have to come together as a people to do something. Let's get over into this next video just to look at more things that's happening.
This morning, rescue crews are racing to find survivors still trapped under the rubble almost 1 week after those devastating twin earthquakes struck Venezuela.
And it's hard to see because there's so much dust in the air from all the rubble, the smoke and the noise. Take a look at these buildings here. You can see they've basically just sunk into the ground. Yeah, I'm going with it now.
Teams from over 20 countries are working around the clock, dogs and drones, carefully navigating the collapsed buildings to find the missing.
Tell her to tuck her feet back in.
In hard-hit La Guera, where nearly 200 buildings fully collapsed, a U.S. team rescued a 51-year-old woman trapped after a 10-hour effort. And in Caraballeda, the rescue of a 21-year-old man who was buried under the rubble for 106 hours. And overnight, we met the youngest survivor.
Diana. Mucho gusto. James. Oh my goodness me.
Diana managed to keep her 18-day-old son Juan David alive for 30 hours under the rubble. Rescuers managed to get water to Juan David by sliding a straw through a pipe down through the rubble.
Can you tell me, how did you stay alive? How did you keep him alive?
The one who gave me the strength not to fall into despair, she says, was my son. I kept saying, as long as he was alive, I was going to be alive. When the earthquake hit, their 8th-floor apartment fell out from beneath their feet. She had Juan David on her chest as the building fell around her. Dad Hansen rallied their neighbors to dig his family out.
You can see how moved he is because he really believes this was an act of God, but he's, I guess, struggling to understand why his family was saved and why so many thousands of people may have died.
Diana broke her leg and sustained other injuries, but Juan David doesn't have one scratch on him. She says the Bible saved them. But as rescue efforts enter their 6th day, the death toll is rising. Now more than 1,700 have been confirmed dead and more than 5,000 injured. And we're now learning Americans are among those killed. 3 in the earthquake and 12 are still missing.
It's so devastating to think about that. Because at one point he mentioned that the father's happy that his family's alive, or you're happy that you survived this incident, but then you also might feel guilt for feeling that you're happy that you survived and weren't one of the people who died. It's a crazy feeling that I can't imagine. Absolutely crazy, y'all. Let's get over into this AI breakdown just to find out a little bit more information about it. So as we know, the death toll has reached a whopping 1,943 people. We got the National Assembly announced that the updated figure, but local citizens and disaster response experts fear the numbers are significantly undercounted. At least 10,571 people have been injured across the region. More than 15,000 residents are homeless and currently living in temporary shelters or makeshift camps. Approximately 46,000 to 50,000 people remain unaccounted for under the rubble, with some humanitarian estimating warnings that the missing count could reach 68,000. The back-to-back 7.2 and 7.5 magnitude earthquake struck a highly populated coastal area built vertically with multiple levels of concrete towers, many of which pancaked completely. Pancaked completely. The U.S. Geological Survey noted that given the heavy population density, local infrastructure vulnerabilities, and over 700 total collapsed structures, there is a very high probability that the final death toll could exceed 10,000. Humanitarian organizations like the United Nations have proactively procured 10,000 body bags in anticipation for the recovery effort. That's crazy, y'all. 10,000 body bags? So as we know, the recovery remains painstakingly slow due to the severe lack of heavy lifting machinery, restricted roadway access into the hardest hit states of LaGuardia, and overwhelmingly healthcare systems. When natural disasters happen, it takes the world to come together. I truly believe that. Because if something happened to us, we would want the world to come together to help us. At least that's how I feel. Some people might say that that's too soft, but hey, that's what I'm thinking. But let me know your thoughts on that situation, y'all. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. It just goes to show you how strong people can be and just how good people can be to one another in times like these. Like I say, y'all, if you disagree with anything I say, please leave a comment. If you like this type of content, remember, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. Absolutely tragic. We're going to pivot now into our next topic that we're going to be discussing today. And we got a tragic story. We got to go to where a 1-year-old baby was found dead in an SUV parked outside of a preschool. You can't make this stuff up. Now, I don't know if the child's mother left him or forgot him or what exactly happened, but someone needs to be held responsible. Let's get over into this, y'all. We got a few videos to look at, and then, of course, we'll get into that AI breakdown just to break everything down. Let's get into it and see what we can find out.
This morning, we're learning more about the tragic death of a child in Plantation. Investigators are trying to determine how an 18-month-old child was left inside a vehicle outside a preschool for several hours. NBC6's Brandon Esperos live for us this morning outside that Plantation preschool with what we've learned about this investigation. Such a sad story, Bree.
Devastating, really, is Constance. The investigation continues this morning, but it all happened outside of this preschool behind me. Take a look. It's called a World of Discovery Academy, and school leaders say it appears to have been a heartbreaking tragedy involving one of the parents and their child. The Plantation Fire Department says crews were called to the preschool just before 5:40 Monday afternoon after reports of a child inside a car. When paramedics arrived, they confirmed that child inside was dead. The school's assistant director tells NBC6 the father went to pick up his 18-month-old son and suddenly realized he never actually dropped his child off earlier in the day. That's when the assistant director said it became clear the baby had been left in the car the entire time. The school later sent a letter to parents saying the emergency involved one family and did not involve school operations, adding that all students and staff remained safe throughout the incident. Neighbors we spoke with say they initially feared something had happened inside the daycare before learning what happened.
Okay, I'm starting. So the daycare had nothing to do with it. At least my understanding. It sounds like he lives nearby. He got out the car without realizing his baby was in the car. However crazy that sounds, and he went about his day. And he killed his child. We got to say how it is. Let's go.
There's a prominent daycare here in the area. I drive by this every day to and from work, so definitely thought the worst that something happened to one of the students here or a parent of the student or just something malicious.
Now, police have not released that child's identity or said whether any charges will be filed, but the investigation into exactly what happened here remains ongoing. Live this morning in Plantation.
If anything, that sounds like a child neglect. I don't, is there like a child neglect which led to death? That sounds like that is it. I don't know if this was malicious. Yeah, that sounds like a child neglect that leads to death, but I don't know if that's the actual charge. Let's get on to this.
Also developing here at noon, a death investigation underway after a child was found dead inside of a car.
A vehicle parked outside a daycare in Plantation. And Local 10's Jeff Dudarian joining us live from that scene.
I know you have reaction from parents who are dropping their children off today, and this one is just so heartbreaking.
Yeah, this is really heartbreaking, Christy. Even if you are not a parent, this one will touch you this noontime. We can tell you that parents were here today. The daycare did reopen, but it was not business as usual, that's for sure. And we are now hearing from the daycare owner this noontime as this family, and this dad in particular, suffers this unimaginable loss.
Life moves forward here, or at least it tries to, during the morning drop-off at World of Discovery Academy Preschool on Northwest 4th Street and 70th Terrace. This crushing loss, no doubt, on the minds of every parent. What happened has a community searching for answers. It was Monday around 6 p.m., investigators say. A dad driving this black SUV shows up to pick up his 1-year-old little boy. The thing is, he's not inside the daycare. He's in the truck, lifeless, left there in the extreme heat, cops say, and died.
I could not fathom having to be in those shoes, to be honest.
This woman has kids at the daycare. She asked us not to show her face. The family on her mind and in her prayers.
If you could let them know one thing this morning, what would you want that family and that dad to know?
My sincere condolences. You know, you would, as a parent, you never want to lose a child.
According to the...
So, they might get into it. So are they saying that he rolled up there with the child and he assumed that he didn't look in the back? I'm so confused. Let's keep going.
Daycare owner, when the dad discovers his child is in the SUV, bursts of screams are heard. Then 911 is called, but it is too late.
This is hard for the parents, hard for us. I'm sorry.
Staff greeting kids as they arrived this morning. Some parents seen hugging the people who work here, people who work nearby, stunned and saddened.
I know the parent didn't mean this to happen. No, because I know them for 6 years. Like I said before, they're a very loving family. And unfortunately, this happened.
Yellow police tape hung where children's toys are found. A place for laughter. Loss now hangs in the air.
How do you think you dropped off your baby and then come back to pick him up just to realize you never dropped him off in the first place? And he's in the car? You have to. It's a sad situation. Of course, I don't think he meant to do it, but you have to go to jail. Or I think you have to have some type of punishment. Or that might be too harsh to some people, but God.
You can hear the emotion from the owner there. She was speaking to us just a short time ago. We did ask her about the little boy. What was he like? She said just full of happiness, smiling. He seemed to really enjoy his time here. We did check in with Plantation Police. Can they tell us anything new about the investigation? They said it's active and ongoing, and so far no word if this dad will be charged. And we are live in Plantation. Jeff Dadarian, Local 10 News.
What are your thoughts, y'all? Do y'all think the father should be charged? I mean, it does seem like some kind of child neglect which led to death. That just sounds like an appropriate charge to me. Like I said, I'm never going to claim I'm a lawyer or anything like that, but that sounds like an appropriate charge to me. Or maybe you might get up to manslaughter, but let's get over into the AI breakdown just to see what else we can find out. So on Monday, June 29th, an 18 to 23-month-old boy was found dead inside of an SUV parked outside of a preschool. The incident took place in a parking lot at the World Discovery Academy. According to the school officials and local police, the tragedy was a result of a parent unknowingly leaving the child behind and did not involve any school operations or staff. The toddler's father arrived at the preschool around 5:39 p.m. to pick up his son. Upon being informed that the boy had been marked absent and was never dropped off, the father opened the back of the SUV and discovered the child unresponsive. I'm still trying to figure out how you didn't see the child, because I'm assuming the 18-month-old is in a car seat. Are you that out of it to where you wouldn't see your own child? All right. So the police and the fire rescue crews responded immediately to the location. Paramedics pronounced the boy dead at the scene. The preschool owner and director stated that the father was supposed to drop off his child in the morning, but accidentally forgot him in the vehicle, proceeding straight to his workplace instead. Oh, he might have been running late. Oh, Jesus. Detectives from the Plantation Department police are actively investigating the circumstances surrounding the toddler's death. The identity of the family has not been released. Wow. This is crazy. I spelled that wrong. Any more things that we need to know? Drove a black SUV. Wow. This is a tragic case, y'all. What are your thoughts? Do you think that the father should be charged? This, like I said, this sounds like a child neglect. What could his possible charges be? See, that's the main thing that we need to ask. What could his possible charges be? So while the police have not filed any charges against the father, the Florida legal precedent, the potential criminal charges that the prosecutor typically reviews in a hot car fatalities is culpable negligence, reckless disregard for life, if the event is deemed as an accident to memory loss. Okay. So aggravated manslaughter of a child neglect, culpable negligence. Okay, see, you know I'm trying to read right. And leaving a child unattended in a motor vehicle. Also, that's a charge in itself. And then they can have no charges filed if it's an accidental death. What are your thoughts, y'all? What do you think out of these options he will most likely receive? Now, do I think he meant to do it? No, 100% not. But can you just let him off to say that no charges be filed? I don't know. I'm thinking a child neglect. But what are your thoughts? What do you think about this whole situation, y'all? Absolutely crazy. But this is why we got to review the world together, y'all. Y'all gonna remember that slogan one of these days. We're gonna pivot now into another crazy case. We got to think about children and child neglect. But we got to go over to this next case, and it seems like a mother has been charged with manslaughter because her baby ended up choking on an unpopped popcorn kernel. And it was happening while she was binge drinking. World is crazy, y'all. The world is truly crazy. Let's get over into this. We got a few videos to look at, and then of course we'll get into that AI breakdown just to wrap it all up. Remember, y'all, the best way to show your support is always just hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. Let's see what it's talking about.
Heartbreaking case on Long Island where a mother is charged with manslaughter after her baby choked to death on unpopped popcorn kernels. Carolyn Gussoff has details of what prosecutors call the mother's long history of alcohol abuse. And we do want to warn you, you may find some of the details disturbing.
Tears in the courtroom as 36-year-old Olivia Bithorn listened to prosecutors detail her alleged binge drinking they say led to her toddler's death. Prosecutors say that in April, while her children were visiting her at her Merrick apartment, Bithorn gave 18-month-old Luke Russell Jr. and his 3-year-old sister a bag of unpopped popcorn kernels, then left them alone while she drank vodka in the bathroom. The baby choked to death.
Her son was blue and cold to the touch. They estimate, allegedly, he was dead for about over an hour before 911 was called. Allegedly, she was in the bathroom, possibly getting sick because she had drank so much.
Nassau DA Ann Donnelly says the heartbreaking tragedy crossed the line from accident to a crime, manslaughter, because of her conscious disregard for a known choking hazard for young children.
Now, here, first question, I'm not going to try not to stop it too much, but when can a child start having popcorn? Because I wouldn't even think an 18-month-old should have popcorn. So I don't know what she was thinking, or maybe she just gave it to a 3-year-old, but not watching them? Yeah, you got to be charged.
And the binge drinking created an unjustifiable risk.
It's an accident if you leave the room for a few minutes and your child is, but it's criminal if you actually give your child these kernels to eat and not be present.
How do you feel about her being charged? Bithorn's estranged husband declined comment as he left court. The couple's 3-year-old daughter found the baby unresponsive. Prosecutors say Bithorn had cycled in and out of rehab for years and described other alleged incidents in which they say her drinking put her children at risk, including car crashes and even a disappearance. She pleaded not guilty. Bithorn was being treated at a rehab center, but prosecutors say she could not be relied on to return to court, so she's now being held on $250,000 bail and faces 5 to 15 years if convicted. In Merrick, Long Island, Carolyn.
First of all, why give her visitation in the first place? It might seem harsh to some people, but what was the point of leaving her alone with the children? It doesn't seem like that she's responsible enough, just from that little brief description that we got. It doesn't sound like she needs to be left alone with children anyway. So why leave her? They say, because remember, they initially said that during the visitation, so the father or somebody dropped the kids off for their visit with the mother, and tragedy happened. I can't imagine what the father's going through at this point. Let's get over into this next video and just go over to more stuff.
On Long Island now, a mother is facing charges after her 18-month-old choked to death, and police say the mother was binge drinking at home at the time and had given her son popcorn kernels to eat, and a kernel got lodged in that boy's throat. News 4's Greg Sergel live for us in Merrick with this tragic story. Greg?
And Adam, we're here in the neighborhood where that mom, Olivia Bithorn, lived, and neighbors telling us off camera that these allegations are simply terrible. Bithorn was in court today on a bail hearing, and a Nassau judge ordered her held on a $500,000 bond.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
Olivia Bithorn showed signs of that heartbreak in court. A 36-year-old mom facing a Nassau judge on manslaughter charges in the choking death of her 18-month-old son, Luke.
Her son was, blue and cold to the touch, and
Nassau's DA says it happened in April here in Bithorn's Merrick apartment. Bidhorn had separated from her husband of 3 years while battling her alcoholism. Her son and daughter came for an unsupervised visit, and during that weekend stay, prosecutors say Bidhorn relapsed. This empty vodka bottle found in her bathroom. And in the next room, popcorn kernels littered the floor near her kids' toys. The DA says Bidhorn had left those unpopped kernels for her children to eat. And with mom allegedly drunk in the bathroom, Luke choked to death on the kernels with his older sister looking on.
You're drunk in the bathroom? Now, I would never advocate. I don't understand why you're getting drunk, that intoxicated with your children around in the first place. But why in the bathroom? I mean, I don't think you should be getting drunk in front of your children in the first place, but at least stay in there. Come on now. She had no regard, or she wasn't even thinking at all. They said it took an hour after he died before she actually finally called the police. That's how long it took her to even realize.
Sadly, she was the one who apparently actually went to get her mom to say something's wrong with my brother.
Bidhorn's husband offered no comment as he left court today. His estranged wife, prosecutors say, has a history of binge drinking. In one case last August, she actually went missing for 3 days. But the DA says her husband believed she was sober when he allowed the children to make that visit back in April.
Everyone in her life had basically written her off except her husband, who was trying to, even though they're separated, trying to make sure she had a place to live and was staying sober. And
you do what you can for the mother of your children. I mean, that's what a man does. I mean, we gotta, but oh my God. At some point, you got to look out for what's best for your children. Of course, you don't want to believe that she would never get right, but addiction is a hard thing to kick. And they do some awfully stupid things and terrible things. But let's keep going.
Now, Bidhorn's lawyer declined comment today, but in statements to police, Bidhorn apparently said that she didn't feed the kernels to her children. They had apparently, in her words, fallen onto the ground of the apartment, and that's how the kids got access to them. Since her son's death, Bidhorn has been in rehab. It's unclear if that will continue now that she's being held in custody.
Does that make it any better? Am I the only one who heard that and was like, does that make it any better? First of all, that means you didn't clean them up, and then you didn't feed it to them in the first place. You gave them the bag of popcorn. Well, you know, the defense attorneys will say whatever they can to get her over the situation. Let's get over into this AI breakdown, y'all, and see what else we can find out, just to bring all this picture together. So on June 29th, Olivia, a 36-year-old mother from New York, was arraigned and held on $500,000 bond after being charged with manslaughter and child endangerment. The charges followed a tragic death of her 18-month-old son, Luke, who choked on raw, uncooked popcorn. So the incident happened in April 2026 at her residence, while the toddler and the 3-year-old sister were on an unsupervised visit. The prosecutor stated that she gave her children a bag of raw, uncooked popcorn kernels to eat. I don't know. That sounds... I think she tried to pop them in. There was some inside. So that just... The American Academy of Pediatrics explicitly lists popcorn as a severe choking hazard for children under 4. So she gave it to... Oh, my God. Both kids aren't even supposed to be eating popcorn, especially unsupervised. So according to the Nassau County District Attorney's Office, she left the children completely unattended to binge drink vodka in the bathroom. Investigators later found an almost empty bottle of Tito's in the bathroom. While she was incapacitated in the bathroom, the 18-month-old choked on kernels. The 3-year-old sister eventually found her brother unresponsive and alerted her mother. Your 3-year-old has to come and get you out of a binger because the little baby died, her brother. I can't imagine. Maybe some silver lining to where she she's young enough to where she won't remember this. But if she does, that's something I wouldn't even wish on my worst enemy. That's crazy, y'all. Maybe my word, I don't know. But let's keep going into this. So authorities estimated that the toddler had been dead for over an hour before 911 was called. Emergency responders found the child blue, cold to the touch, and surrounded by raw kernels on the floor. She entered a plea of not guilty to the charges. During the court hearing, prosecutors detailed a history of severe substance abuse. They highlighted past incidents where her alcoholism endangered her children, including 2 drunk driving car crashes, one while pregnant, and an incident where she went missing for days. She was initially released on an inpatient rehabilitation facility with an ankle monitor. However, because she lost the healthcare coverage required to pay for the facility, the judge ordered her to be held on $500,000 bail at the jail. The judge issued an order of protection from her estranged husband and her surviving 3-year-old daughter. She faces 5 to 15 years in prison if she is convicted of manslaughter. She is scheduled to return to court July 23rd, 2026. How would y'all be feeling if y'all was the father? You gave her a chance because no one else would. Of course, she's the mother of your child and you want to look after her. At least a good man would want to. Until she shows you you shouldn't. But do you think she already showed that she shouldn't be taken care of? She shouldn't be coddled. I understand alcoholism is an illness or a disease, how some people want to say it, but how long are you going to put up with it and help them? Maybe some people say you should help them until the end, but and then you can't put too much blame on the father because I'm assuming she was lying and saying that she wasn't drinking anymore. She obviously was. But, oh my God, to a weekend? I wonder if it's the first time he left her with them in a while. Because a whole weekend is a long time. A day visit, okay, supervised. Unsupervised weekend trips with someone who has a history like this. It's a tragic scene no matter how you look at it, y'all. What are your thoughts? Do you think she should be convicted? I mean, I think so, but tell me if you disagree. And would you have trusted her with your kids after all of that because she's the mother of your child? It's an absolutely tragic story, but we will keep up with it to see exactly what kind of time she gets and what all the ending is of this story. But let me know your thoughts and let me know if you disagree with anything I said, y'all. Absolutely tragic. Remember, y'all, the best way to show your support is hit that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification bell. We're going to pivot now into our 4th topic. We'll see where we end up to see if we do a 5th, but it'll be some body cam footage because I love that body cam footage. Hold on, let's see what we got. We got Michael in the chat. Let's see. These drunks are very unpredictable. I hated living with one. Yeah. So I can understand that completely because you have to be careful living with people who have no control. You don't know what they're capable of. And the real question is, would you have been like this father and wanted to help out your children's mother, and let them stay? Or let them stay with her? Absolutely crazy. Thank you, Michael, for sending that chat over. Let's get over into this next topic, which is also a crazy one we got to get into. But we got to go over into a McDonald's. You know where a lot of crazy things always happen at McDonald's. But we had a tragic scene where a father and 11-year-old daughter was shot outside of a McDonald's by a teen employee. It doesn't look like he was shooting at them, but you know what that life brings. It seems like they were just in the vicinity and got struck. So let's get over into this and see what we can find out, y'all. Remember, if you disagree with anything I say, please leave a comment. Let's jump over into this. We got a few videos to look at, and then, of course, we'll get to the AI breakdown. Let's jump into it.
Right at 5, a father and daughter shot outside of a fast food restaurant in Hallandale Beach. Right now, there's an active search for that shooter. Let's get straight over to Local 10's Samir Nefsi. He is live with the breaking details.
And ladies, we have since learned that this was an 11-year-old girl and her father that were shot while they were sitting outside in this McDonald's parking lot. The mother going inside to get food when that gunfire rang out. Let's go ahead and take a look at the scene. You can see still very much an active crime scene. You can see that black vehicle. That's where the father and daughter were inside. You can see, at least from this perspective, one bullet hole there. Again, as you mentioned, still a search underway for the shooter or shooters. Let's go ahead and take a look at some video we captured earlier. Local 10 cameras rolling at the McDonald's in the 800 block of West Hallandale Beach Boulevard, where a swarm of Hallandale Beach officers were searching for at least one gunman. Now, according to a spokesperson for the police department, around 1:30, there was reports of a shooting. When they arrived, they located that black vehicle riddled with bullet holes, the back passenger side window appearing to be shot out. Now, inside that vehicle, as I mentioned, a young girl and her father, the little girl shot, as well as her father. Now, moments before this shooting, detectives say there was an altercation that took place outside of the fast food store, possibly involving a McDonald's employee. Investigators say the father, daughter, and mother had just pulled up moments prior to that. When the mother went inside, as I mentioned, gunfire ringing out, the daughter and father caught in the crosshair.
I'm going to say this like I always do. Keep it on you. Truly keep it on you, because the world is truly crazy. You pull up to McDonald's, get some food, and out of nowhere a shoot off takes place and you and your daughter get shot.
I did not have a chance to speak to her. However, I can imagine that she's very emotionally distraught at this time, not expecting to order food with her family and have to be sent to the hospital, making sure that her family is now okay.
Now let's get over into this. We can skip over because we actually know who the suspect is. Let's get over into the next video.
On a shocking shooting, arrest made after a father and his 11-year-old daughter were sitting in a McDonald's parking lot in Hallandale Beach when they were caught up in that gunfire.
And that incident sending them both to the hospital, where the child is still recovering today. Local 10's Lenny Supal is live from the scene right now with the details about the man in custody. Lenny, what can you tell us?
Good afternoon. 18-year-old Ralph Blue arrested and charged with aggravated battery and aggravated assault. And we're learning that he was about to start a shift here at this McDonald's when the shooting unfolded in the parking lot and other young children were dangerously close to the gunfire. Shattered glass and a black SUV sprayed with bullets, a visible indication of gun violence. The result of a double shooting at a Hallandale Beach Boulevard McDonald's Saturday afternoon that put an innocent family with kids in the line of danger.
There was an individual coming to McDonald's to where other people appeared to be waiting for them. As a result of that, there was gunfire that was exchanged.
A father and his 11-year-old daughter struck by the gunfire as they were sitting inside their SUV. This morning, police reporting they were not alone. The bullets narrowly missing two other children, just 2 and 5 years old. The family patiently waiting for their mother to pick up their meal when it happened.
As soon as she heard the incident, she ran back outside looking to see if her family was involved, and discovered that her husband and her child had been shot.
Police calling this a targeted incident. They say it originated outside of the city and ended up here in this parking lot as the suspect was reporting to work. This weekend, the search for the suspect extensive. Officers spotted blanketing the scene. Today, police announcing a major break in the case. 18-year-old Ralph Blue arrested on 2 counts of aggravated battery and 2 counts of aggravated assault.
Ralph, I'm not even going to try. Incoach Blue the third? They made 3 of them with the same name? You don't care about your life. Now, I don't know what the situation was, but it sounds like he was beefing with people. And they found him at his job. It's a tragic situation, y'all. But they do have surveillance footage. So let's get over to that one video.
And right now at 5:30, newly released surveillance video shows how an innocent family was trapped in their SUV at a McDonald's parking lot as a gunman began shooting. That video appears to show the suspect shooting at someone else, then running for cover.
NBC 6's Marissa Bag is live in Hollywood with who police arrested and the frantic 911 calls made by the victims. Marissa.
Jawan Shernay, that family was simply waiting in their car for their food order to be ready at that McDonald's, and then all of a sudden they started to hear gunshots. Their car was hit with bullets. The 11-year-old girl inside, she was struck with a gunshot and is actually being treated here at Joe DiMaggio Children's Hospital. She's in the ICU. Her father was also shot. He's already been treated and released at the hospital. We do want to warn everybody watching that the 911 calls we're about to play for you and the surveillance video is quite graphic. Surveillance cameras capture the frightening moment a shooting unfolded in a McDonald's parking lot along West Hollandale Beach Boulevard near I-95 Saturday afternoon. You see a man dressed in black with a gray backpack open fire on someone running toward him from across the parking lot and then takes cover behind a black Toyota RAV4. Police say inside that SUV was a family with 3 children. An 11-year-old girl was shot along with her father.
911, what's the active key emergency? Hello? Hello, senora.
911 calls convey the terror that family endured.
Hello? Hello?
The shooter ran inside the McDonald's. His apparent intended target ran away. Police say the shooter is 18-year-old Ralph Nkosi Blue III. He was employed at the McDonald's restaurant. Witnesses ran to help when they heard the gunshots. They say there were other children in the car too, ages 2 and 5, who were not injured.
That was hard to listen to. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. Now, I couldn't even see the other dude who was running towards him with a gun. Now, I'm assuming he has something to where he wanted to get to where he feared for his life. But in general, you deserve to go to prison. I'm assuming he thought he had a gun or he had a gun and was waiting for him. But this is a crazy situation. Things come back to haunt you. And you just almost killed 4 people. You deserve to be locked up. Truly. Now we gotta play. We gotta play devil's advocate. But if he was shooting in fear for his life because he didn't do anything, or he was just a random person walking and somebody tried to come up and jack him or shoot him and he started shooting, you have to be aware of where you're shooting. This didn't look like a situation where he feared for his life, but we got to talk about that in general. That if this was a situation where he feared for his life, which he's most likely going to use, the defense is going to use, you have to be aware of what you're shooting at and what's in the path. That's what you're trained to do. If you take any kind of classes about self-defense, anything like that, the last thing you want is for people around you to get hurt. But you know these YNs, they don't care about who in the vicinity gets hurt by what they're doing. But we'll have to wait and just go into more details about this. Let's keep going.
Next to the lady was a kid, and next to the kid was a baby seat with a baby. In the front, there is one guy in the passenger seat shooting in the foot and in the arm.
And we have tried reaching out to the family. So far, we understand that they're asking for privacy. As for the suspect, he's being held at the Broward County Jail without bond. He's charged with 2 counts of aggravated battery and 2 counts of aggravated assault. Live in Hollywood, Marissa.
Yeah, well, 100%. He does not need to be out on bond. I would never agree with that. We got to do a bigger investigation on it. Let's get into this AI breakdown and see what else we can find out. So we got the 18-year-old McDonald's employee was arrested after opening fire in a targeted dispute, hitting an innocent father and 11-year-old daughter who were caught in the crossfire. The shooting took place on June 27th, 2026 at the McDonald's location in Herondale Beach, Florida. So the parking lot, it happened at the parking lot in the McDonald's. The family was sitting in their SUV waiting for the food order while the mother was inside picking it up. The surveillance video captured the employee, Ralph Encoast Blue the Third, walking outside as another individual ran towards him. Blue pulled out a firearm and began shooting at the individual, ran and ducked behind the family's SUV for cover. 2 other children, ages 2 and 5, were also in the SUV, but were not physically harmed. According to the reports by the police department, the family had no connection to the dispute. So no, the 11-year-old was shot. She had a gunshot wound to the head. Oh my God. Bullet entering her forehead and lodging in the back of her head. Doctors determined that they're trying to remove the bullet would be detrimental, and she remains hospitalized in stable condition. Yeah. If she dies, he's going to be in jail for the rest of his life, which I'm not sad at. So then the father, he suffered a gunshot wound to his right hip, and has since been treated and released. Following a search by the local authorities, Blue was taken into custody. He is being held without bond at the jail, and he has been formally charged with 2 counts of aggravated battery with a deadly weapon and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon without intent to kill. The franchise owner issued a public statement confirming that Blue's employment has been terminated and that the restaurant corporation is fully cooperating with police. Walking outside as the individual ran towards him, Blue pulled out his firearm. Crazy. He's going to need to be in jail for a long time. But the real question is, will he be able to get away with it? Because we know for a fact, or at least we can have an inference, that his defense attorney is going to plead for self-defense. The question is, did you see anything that he needed to defend himself for? I'm not surprised that life is a crazy life, and when you're in those streets, people are probably targeting you. So he very much could have. The dude could have had a gun and just been trying to get the drop on him. But you shot 2 innocent people, almost killed 4 innocent people. You gotta face the time and punishment for that. It's a tragic situation, y'all. Let me know your thoughts and let me know if you disagree with anything I said. Absolutely tragic. But we will keep up with this to see exactly what we can find out. Ralph Encoast Blue the Third. The name is wild, y'all. The name is wild. But that is it for the show today, y'all. Thank you for tuning in, whoever watching. Thank you for tuning in later. We always talk about a lot of crazy things. So if you disagreed with anything I say, please leave a comment. This show is about discussion. Let's have a discussion. That's what's wrong in the world today. Now, these videos will be broken down so you can go back and watch the one you want, but we truly live in a crazy world. Some people say, oh, it's not a crazy world, it's just crazy people. But if there's crazy people, does that not make the world crazy? That's it for now, y'all. I will see y'all tomorrow at 6 o'clock to go over more topics. Remember, we meet Monday through Friday, starting at 6 o'clock. I try to keep that schedule, but we will release videos every day. And the best way to show your support on anything is always just hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification, y'all. But that is it for now. Y'all already know I got to play that outro. I will see y'all tomorrow. Peace.